Hi, I'm Derek Hooper, Australian PGA professional and golf coach. I want to thank you for joining me today for this next lesson in our Better Putting Blueprint series. In earlier lessons, we've covered all the skills that are necessary for you to be a great putter. We've looked at some technical aspects, we've looked at pre-swing fundamentals, we've done some green reading, distance control, we've even touched on some of the mental skills that are going to be associated with you being a great putter. Today what we want to chat about is, well, how do we take those skills to the golf course and the types of practice that you need to engage in to be successful with your putting on the golf course. We're going to talk about the two different kinds of practice that you need to do, as well as how to structure your own practice sessions. Look forward to sharing those with you today, so let's get started. So today we're talking about the two different kinds of practice that you need to engage in if you are to be a successful learner and therefore improve your putting. So the first kind of practice you're probably very familiar with, you've seen it a lot, you've probably even done a lot of it yourself, and it's called blocked practice. Block practice means you're hitting the same shot from the same location to the same target over and over again, and in some cases you're not even practicing to a target. The reality is though that that's not what we face on the golf course. What we face on the golf course is hitting different shots from different locations to different targets every single time. So block practice on its own is not great for helping you transfer your skills to the golf course. It is, however, an excellent type of practice if you're trying to change your technique. If you're working on technical changes, some of the stuff that we did earlier in this series, block practice is perfect for doing that sort of thing. And I'm going to show you some block practice drills today that you can use to help you improve your putting technique. The second kind of practice is called random practice. Random practice is when we're hitting different shots from different locations to different targets. That is more like what we face on the golf course. It's more difficult to do, but it's going to help you transfer your skills from here out on the golf course far more easily, and it's the sort of practice we want to graduate to. So the normal progression we would like to see players work through is you would start with your blocked practice first, start to sharpen your basic technique and your skills, and then move those skills into random practice situations, so it's a little bit more like what you're going to face on the golf course. You're going to find it much easier to transfer those skills to the golf course. And that's one of the complaints I get from players a lot, is that they talk about the fact that they can hit the ball great and practice great on the driving range, but when they get on the golf course they don't see those skills transfer to the golf course. And a lot of the time it's because they're engaged in block practice on the range, and then they get out on the golf course and what they did on the range doesn't resemble anything like what they've got to be doing on the golf course. So we're going to show you how to overcome that. We're going to work through some block practice drills to help you with your technique, show you how to transfer those skills then into random practice drills, so you can take the skills that you've got on the golf course, that high performance you're doing here on the range, and take that from the range out to the golf course. So the first blocked practice drill I want to share with you today is the one using the slot trainer that we used in an earlier video. I've got this set up at 6 feet from the hole. It's a dead straight putt. I've rolled some balls across the green earlier to make sure the putt is straight, and I've set my trainer up here on the ground. My objective is to go through my routine. I'm going to have a practice stroke first, go ahead, aim the putter, check it to the hole, get set, go ahead and make my putt. And my objective is to make 10 in a row. What I'm doing with this block practice drill is I'm confirming that I can aim the putter correctly at my target, so I'm getting better at recognizing where the putter is aiming. I'm making sure that I'm hitting the ball in the middle of the putter face because I've got that gate set up on the back end of the trainer. And thirdly, it's making sure that I can start the ball on my intended line because I've got this really small gate at the front that the ball has to go through in order for it to go in the hole. The other thing I really like about this drill as a block practice drill is that I get to see the ball go in the hole a lot of times. And that's what I want to do. I want to train my eyes and my brain to see the ball going in the hole. Not only does it help with my long-term skill development, but it also helps me with my confidence that I feel comfortable being able to make these putts from this range. If you're finding that making 10 in a row from 6 feet is a little too challenging for you, by all means move into 5 feet or 4 feet until you can get your 10 in a row, and you can always move it back as the weeks go by. So this is our first block practice drill. Remember, we're hitting the same putt from the same location, so that means block practice, but our objective is to make 10 in a row before we move on to the next practice drill. The second block practice drill I'd like to share with you today is the one using the putting edge mirror that we used in an earlier video also. The mirror, remember, is great because it allows us to see where our eyes are in relation to the golf ball. It also allows us to see where our shoulder line is in relation to the target line. I've got this set up again at a 6-foot putt, straight putt on the green. I'm going to go ahead and put the ball into the trainer. I want to have my practice stroke first, again trying to feel the length of stroke that I need. I'm going to go ahead and set the putter. As I go through my setup, what I'm looking for is where are my eyes in relation to the golf ball and where are my shoulders in relation to the target line, matching the lines that I've got set up on the mirror. If I do that correctly and I go ahead and make my stroke, then we should be able to get the ball to go in the hole. The objective with this drill is to make 10 in a row again, but keeping in mind that we're looking not only at, and we're aiming the putter at the target correctly, but also are your eyes in the correct position in relation to the ball. Remember, we'd like to see them directly over the target line would be ideal. And then secondly, are your shoulders parallel to the target line? So checking those couple of fundamentals, trying to make 10 in a row, but getting the feedback from the mirror as you go through that drill. The third block practice drill I'd like to share with you today is the one using the putting pendulum. And the reason I want to share this one with you is if you've gone through the two that I've done earlier and you feel like you're aiming the putter correctly, but you're just having trouble to get the ball to go in the hole still, it may not be an alignment issue at address, rather it's how you're moving the putter during the stroke. And I find that the putting pendulum rod is a great way for you to be able to get that putter to move on that natural arc that we want it to with very little hand rotation. Because we're going to see if you get too much hand activity, this rod's not going to work the way it's supposed to. So remember we talked about it sits on the back of the putter and then is on your chest as well. And we're trying to make sure that as you putt, the rod stays parallel to your putter shaft. If I use too much hands, you can see how that's not going to be the case, and that's what's going to be kicking the ball offline when you're putting. So the exercise here, I've got 6 feet again, straight putt from the hole. I'm going to go ahead and aim the putter behind the ball, get set with the rod on my chest. Once I'm happy with that setup, the idea is again to focus on making sure the shaft of the putter stays parallel to the rod. And if I do that, I should be able to get the ball in the hole. My objective with this drill is to make 10 in a row while focusing on getting the feeling of what I've got to do to be able to keep that rod parallel to the putter shaft as I'm putting, and therefore keep my hands out of the stroke. It's going to allow you to get the ball started online, and if you're struggling with those two earlier drills, this is going to be the one that's really going to help you finalize the little bit of detail you would need to be successful with those two earlier drills. Thanks for joining me for those. I'm going to show you some random putting drills when we come back. So now we're going to move on to some random practice drills. So remember, the definition of random practice drills is we want to change locations, we want to change targets, and we want to make sure that we're changing it up every time so that this practice resembles more like what we see on the golf course. The other thing that I would always encourage you to do when you're doing your random practice is that we want to have measured outcomes, and I want consequences for those outcomes. So for this exercise here, I've set these balls up in a 4-foot circle. I've got 10 balls in the circle. My objective is to make all 10 in a row. So I have a measured outcome, which means the ball's either going to go in the hole or it's not. The consequences for those outcomes are going to be, well, if I get one in, I get to go to the next one. And if I make all 10, then I complete the drill. If I miss, I have to then continue going until I do make 10 in a row. So that's going to be the defined the consequence for the outcome of this exercise. The reason I like doing this drill is that you can then take the techniques that you've learned in those block practice drills and start to apply them to these different situations. Now I know that they're all the same length, but the additional thing we've added to this exercise is now every single putt has slightly different break to it. So now you've got to add green reading skills to this exercise, as well as your ability to then aim where you've read the green and still be able to hit the ball at that ideal holing speed to make it go in the hole. If you find that 10 in a row from 4 feet is too easy for you, by all means step it up to 5 feet and even 6 feet. If you find 4 feet is too difficult, by all means you can move it into 3 feet or even 2 feet if you need to get that started, and then you can move out as your skills progress. But this is a great little exercise to take what you've learned with those earlier block practice drills and start to apply it into some random practice drills. The next random practice drill I wanted to show you is this ladder drill. I've set this up on a straight putt across the green because I don't want to be hitting a bunch of putts where the ball keeps breaking in one direction. I'd like to see the putt fairly straight. The thing that's going to be randomized with this exercise is that the distance on each putt is a little different. So I've started at 3 feet, then I go 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 feet. My objective with the drill is to go through my full pre-shot routine each time. If I make the first putt, then I get to go to the second one. Again, I want to go through my full pre-shot routine. If I make the second one, I get to go to the third, and so on back along the line. If I miss one, I have to start again. A couple of reasons I really like this exercise. Number one, you're going to get the ball in the hole a lot of times because we're hitting from short putts, so it really does your confidence a lot of good. The other thing is that we're getting better at our holing speed at that all-important range of inside 10 feet, because if we can convert a few more putts inside 10 feet, it can make a huge difference to your scores. The other thing that I really like about this exercise is that as you go further back, the pressure increases slightly because we're all a little competitive and we'd like to complete the exercise. So when you get to the last one, the pressure increases a little bit, but because the stroke's a little bit longer, it's a little more difficult to get it online and get it in the hole. So you've got to be even more focused by the time you get back here as you work through the exercise. It's a great drill. I've used this one personally for years and it served me really, really well, and I know it's going to really work for you also. This next random practice drill I want to share with you is focused a little more on distance control. I've got a rod set up 3 feet behind the hole. I have tees in the ground at 12 feet, 16 feet and 20 feet, and my objective is that I'm going to hit a putt from, first of all, at 12 feet. If I get the ball in the hole, I get 2 points. If the ball finishes beyond the front edge but does not touch the rod, so it finishes in the safe zone, I get 1 point. If it finishes short of the hole or touches the rod, then I get 0. My objective is that I want to hit 4 putts from each location, but I want to vary the putts for each one. So I'm going to hit one from 12, then from 16, then from 20. You know, I'm going to come back and go 12, 16, 20, and I'm going to repeat that 4 times so that I've hit 12 putts in total, and I want to add up how many points I've gotten. If I can do that each time, I'm then trying to improve my score each time I come back and practice. So the first time you get out and do this drill, go through your normal pre-shot routine, go through the exercise, score as best you can, and then record that number. The next time you come back and do it, your objective is to either equal that number or better it before you're allowed to leave. So coming back to our parameters of random practice, we've got defined outcomes, so the ball's either got to go in the hole or finish in the safe zone, and we have consequences for those outcomes, meaning that if we don't equal or better the score we got last time, we've got to repeat the drill until we do. That sort of pressure is going to really serve you well when you're trying to transfer your skills from here out onto the golf course. A lot of the time when we practice, we don't create that pressure, so we never learn how to execute when we have pressure on us, and when we get on the golf course, we usually fail, unfortunately, because we've never practiced that. So if we can set up drills where we can create the sort of pressure you would have on the golf course, you can get better at handling it, you can get better at dealing with it, you can get better at executing with that pressure there, and you're going to be a better putter because of it. So again, this one's a little more challenging than the others because we've got a little longer putt, but this is going to be a great drill for you to work on distance control and being able to get the ball close to the hole, if not in, from further away. The final random practice drill I want to share with you today is probably the best one, but it's one that I see players doing incorrectly very, very often. A lot of time I see players out on the green and they stand on the putting green with 3 balls, they'll putt 3 balls to one hole, collect those balls, then go to another hole and hit another 3 balls. And I think the reason they have 3 balls is because that's how many balls come in a box, number one. But the other thing is that there's no defined outcome for what they're doing, and therefore there's no consequences for those outcomes either, and therefore those drills that they're doing or the practice they're doing fails our criteria for random practice. So I want to show you how you can do a similar drill but get a lot more out of your time and efforts. I'm going to suggest you do it with 1 ball only, and your objective is to play 9 holes around the green and keep score. Try and set up where you've got 3 medium putts, 3 short putts and 3 longer putts. Try and make sure there's a mix of breaking putts and straight putts so that we try and get something similar to what you see on the golf course. And then you're going to keep score. Now, if you're a good player, you should be trying to get 18 or less. That would be a good benchmark for you. If you're a player who struggles a little bit with their putting, then your objective is going to be to eliminate the 3 putts as you're going through this round. But the idea would be do it for the first time and keep score. Make a note of that score so that next time you come back, you want to do the exercise again until you either equal that score or beat it. And if you do that every time you come out and do that drill with your practice, you're going to get better and better because you're simulating what you've got to do out on the golf course, and therefore it's going to transfer much better from here on the range to out on the course, and you're going to make more putts out there and shoot lower scores. Thank you for joining me today for our lesson in our Better Putting Blueprint series. I'm certain if you go away and you work on the drills that we spoke about today, your own putting game is going to vastly improve. If you've got any questions about anything we touched on today, please feel free to post them along with this video and I'd be happy to answer them for you. Also, if you've got any comments or you'd like to share your progress, I'd be excited to hear about how you've been going with your own putting game as well. If you're looking for links to the training aids that we used, you'll find them along with an attachment to this video. That's going to be the place for you to go if you're looking for those. Until next time, keep up the good work, and I look forward to seeing you in our next lesson.